In fact, I had the pleasure of being on the first ever session of leadership and safety, as it was called at that time, which was put in place by Raoul and Natalie Carletto. And I just joined L'Oreal, and it was a privilege to be there. You know, I've got a lot of memories about from that first ever training. It's even quite strange because even like 16 years later, it's still kind of marked in my brain. I remember three main things. One of them, there was a professor called Claude Franzen who did a presentation about, well, he asked us to draw a factory. And we all drew a factory and all the rest of it. And I drew a brilliant picture of bricks and buildings and all the rest of it. I was really, really impressed. And he just turned around and said to everybody, this is my picture of a factory. And he drew a picture of just people. And at that moment in time, it was like a revelation that, you know, a factory is nothing without the people that actually work inside. So that was number one. Number two was the intervention, the presentation by Philippe Delquier on cognitive bias, or as it was called then, heuristics. And I remember doing this game called Kart Racing. It was like a workshop. And I was amazed because at the end, I actually found out I'd launched Challenger, which was one of the biggest ever disasters of NASA that they'd ever had. That rested in my head. And the third person that really had an impact on me was a guy called Theo Companol, who he spoke about the way that we don't see little changes in people. And he introduced me to the concept of the canary and how it's important to identify low-level signals and actually identify them quite early on and do something about it. So those are the three things that really impacted me. And as you've just heard, 16 years later, still in my mind. Actually, I knew it was going to be special. In my previous companies, we'd had similar type of training from the very high level for the senior managers, etc. I knew there was a need within L'Oreal for this kind of training. The first session, as we'll all remember, wasn't perfect. It didn't go particularly well, but I knew there was a future. And I could never have imagined it would still have been going strong 16 years later, and 2,000 people have actually been through the training. It was absolutely amazing. I think the program's been so successful because it's simply not been about safety. It's not been about safety. It's all been about people, and it's how our managers can come and manage or lead the whole, including the productivity, the quality, but also at the heart, remembering that it's leadership of people. So what this training has given to our managers is leadership skills. And a lot of them identify that this is the best ever leadership training that they've ever done. And as a consequence, through word of mouth, people talking to each other, it's probably become one of the most successful training programs that we've ever done in L'Oreal. Raoul, I'm going to look you straight into the eyes here and say thank you so much for your vision, your ability to put your ideas into concrete action, and just being the person that created this fantastic training and had the idea. Thank you very much for being so visionary.